Good morning, my lovelies. Good morning, my friends. Whoever's here this morning, won't you just let me know that you can hear me, that all is well, that I am live, and voice is good. Still got my hair clip in, so let me take it out. So this morning started a bit in a whirlwind, and I've been saying of late that I feel a bit like a whirling dervish, and that life is just moving so fast. And so that's why the hair clips in and not that focused yet, but here I am. All good. Thanks, Janet. So I'm very excited this morning to share with you a topic that has come about and that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and that is habits. Our habits are kind of like our internal compass that you like me with my hair clip in. Hi, Flick. Um, so why did I suddenly come up with these habits? Well, I was away this week and we looked at habits specifically in terms of building character and character teams. And I was just so inspired again by these habits from Stephen Covey and to integrate them into my journey and also to just reflect on them this morning. So, these habits. The first one, and I kind of wanted to swap the first two habits. And then I thought there's a reason why the first habit is to be response able, and it's not about the vision. And the reason really is because in my journey to give up alcohol, this was the one skill that really, when I developed it, when I practiced it, that helped me beyond measure to be able to respond. I was in an engineering workshop a year ago, and Sadhguru said that our ability to respond is limitless. And I kind of sat with that because one of my biggest challenges in life has been to be able to respond. And if we are not able to respond, we kind of are driven by our urges. We are driven by what we call our limbic system. And just for that, I like to just hold up my hand and say to you guys, imagine this is your brain, this is your brain stem, this is your lower brain, this is your limbic system, this is where all your drives are, your neurotransmitters, everything is really generated here from instinct, from fight or flight, from the way we react to things. So we are very reactive when we are moving from this space, our limbic space. And a lot of us think that we are so, this is just how we are. This is just how I was wired. This is just how I'm made. So, and I'm in the traffic, I get irate. I cannot respond if a taxi comes in front of me or somebody cuts me off. I immediately give them the middle finger. I'm a amygdala hijacked. That's what a lot of people say. Oh, my amygdala hijacked me again. And we're actually losing the plot when we think about that, because what we're forgetting about is that we have developed, and what we need to really develop more and more is our prefrontal cortex. And our prefrontal cortex is like this. It's the thumb and it's the fingers over the fist. So our prefrontal cortex can wrap our limbic brain in logic, in the ability to be able to respond. And we need to strengthen that part of ourselves. And we do it by taking a pause. So the pause, I've often spoken about how powerful it is to be able to pause and then to choose whether you're going to have that drink or not. Many of my clients and me in the beginning, and me 3 years ago would say to you, there comes a certain point where that trigger and that urge is so strong that I cannot respond. I react and I have that wine or I have that whiskey or that vodka without thinking. And I'd like to say that you can develop the ability to respond. It has to do with mind management. It has to do with pausing. It has to do with breathing and just taking a few seconds. Apparently, that's all it takes. It's just a few seconds to just say, slow it down, listen, and then choose to respond. And it's really how we strengthen our choice muscle. So, this skill, I think this habit and the habit of learning to pause has been one that has helped me in so many other areas of my life now. Not only just in pausing before taking a drink, but pausing in a way that when I get triggered by a situation, to just take a breath before I respond. So when we know this, it's in our power. Our prefrontal cortex is so powerful when we start to really develop it. That's where all the magic happens. That's where we create from. Let me see who else has dropped in. Oh, hi, Flick. So good to see you here this morning. And Natasha, good morning. Good morning, Carlin. Habit loops, yeah, they're either helpful or destructive. And awareness is such a great tool for me. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And then the second habit is beginning with the end in mind. So creating a vision. Everything is created twice. It's first created in the mind and then it's created in the physical. So how did this really land for me in my journey to stop drinking? Well, first of all, I had to visualize myself as a non-drinker. And I realized that what I wanted to be, the vision I created for myself, was this healthy, vibrant person who just preferred not to drink. I wanted to really get to that point, to become a person that has no desire for the taste of alcohol, for alcohol in any form. And then I really had to drop into how do people think and feel who prefer not to drink. And I would ask people, my friends who didn't drink, do you ever think about drinking? No. Do you ever go to a party and think, what am I going to drink? What am I going to say? And they were like, no, we just say we don't drink. We prefer not to drink. And I realized that I needed to adopt those kind of thoughts, those kind of feelings, and that kind of vision of myself. And often when we talk about vision, you want to create a vision of where we are no longer at. But so often we try and create and change our way of being, but by still having the thought habits of our past, the thought habits of, but when I drink, I feel so much better. When I'm stressed, I need a drink. When I want to celebrate, I need a drink. I ask myself the question, a person who prefers not to drink, do they even think those thoughts? And how do I bridge that gap? How do I start feeling and becoming the person who just doesn't want to drink? And I know in the beginning it took a lot of acting. It's like you're writing the script of your own play when you create your vision. But when you start, the gift of ditching the drink is just a gift that keeps on giving. Because when we learn and we practice these habits, we can start putting them in all areas of our life. In the beginning, the thought of not drinking seems like something we would never achieve. We could never become that person. But we can bridge the person we are now that's drinking too much, that's over drinking and miserable, to the person that's happy and engaged and connected that doesn't drink. And it all happens in the middle with our thoughts and our creating. So we think and we create everything, our whole scripts, we create them first in our mind, and then we act them, and then we become them. So begin, my friends, begin with the end in mind. Begin with a strong, positive vision of who you really want to be and become that. And then the third habit, which seems kind of maybe not that important, but it was another habit that I, to this day, it really serves me, and that is put first things first. Diary management, time management. And Stephen Covey really put them into these 4 quadrants, where he said the first quadrant is about what's really urgent. It's where we produce, it's what has to be done, it's where we put out the fires, it's like it has to be done right now. The second quadrant is about our preparation and our planning. How do we prepare and how do we plan to create our vision, to go on this journey, to create our life? How do we prepare for this beautiful life that we want to live? And how do we plan for it? The third quadrant is what he calls, or has been referred to as, the agenda invaders. And these agenda invaders are very sneaky. They are our social media, they are our email. You can be working on something like really important, like your Facebook Live presentation, and suddenly a WhatsApp comes in and you think, oh, let me just quickly answer that. Or that email comes in. And before you know it, half an hour has gone away. And you have to then refocus on your task. The fourth is just blatant time wasters. And it's where we tend to procrastinate. And it's where, when we're about to do a task that needs preparation and planning, or anything that is not really, that we are that clear on, or we procrastinate by watching YouTube clips, watching Netflix all night, or going on Facebook, or surfing the net and Googling. Maybe if I just Google this, I'll get the answer. That is me to a large degree. I found myself in that quadrant a lot. And what I've noticed and what I've found, just looking at myself, and I just would like you to ask yourself that question right now. In which of those 4 quadrants do you spend most of your time? Where do you operate from mostly? Mostly, I find people are in the first, third, and fourth quadrant. Very few of us spend most of our time in the second quadrant, which is the planning and preparation. That is actually the most important quadrant. And yet, we are more about putting out the fires or getting those agenda invaders sorted out, and then just like feeling overwhelmed and just going into social media or anything that numbs us down out. And that's also often where alcohol plays the role, is in those in the fourth quadrant, where we just can't be overwhelmed. We just think we're just going to drink to feel better. That's the same pattern. And when we recognize that pattern about ourselves, and we start to really create the habit of spending more time in the second quadrant, planning and preparing our weeks, our intention for the day. How do you start the morning? And I have found that the most important part of my day is, and how I prepare for my whole day, is by how I start my day. So my beginning and my preparation for my day, the intention that I've set, and how I get myself into a really positive, energized mind frame, that takes preference above everything. So find out for yourselves where you want to be, where you are maybe spending too much time, and how you can bring in more of quadrant 2. Let me see if anybody else here. Hi, Julia has shared with me. Yeah, the prefrontal cortex is the mom of our brain. We drink too much, mom will move out, and the crazy aunt will move in. And the crazy aunt operates here. It's so true. You've got to love the pause. And the fourth habit is to think win-win. It's to have this abundant mentality. And I had to really learn to think win-win, first of all, in terms of ditching the drink, that it was only a win-win situation. There were no losses. It was all about creating win-win and creating abundance, and being aware of what abundance mentality really is. An abundance mentality is the opposite of scarcity. And what really I often find myself in scarcity. And when I go into scarcity, I go into fear, and then I go into anxiety. Will I have enough energy? I'm the whirling dervish. Will I have enough energy to do this or to do that? It's a mindset that I have to work on, that I can say, I have enough energy. There's enough energy for it all. And what I listened to recently was a podcast about abundance, and how abundance and an abundance mentality is really rooted in an abundance of all emotion, of all of life, and that we embrace the joy and the sadness equally. That when there's sadness, we feel it abundantly. When there is grief, we can feel it abundantly. When there's joy, we can feel it abundantly. And it's really about creating that connection to self. And so interesting that this whole week, the Nia dance theme has been about heart and courage. It's really a win-win, is the courage to have the heart, to be brave, and to just embrace all of life abundantly. Um, it's often we think that when I have that, or when I stop drinking, then I will feel abundant. Then, when I have the perfect job, no, feel abundant now. Feel the win win now. And of course, it translates into the people around us. How do we then bring that thinking into everybody we react with? And we always make it about the win win, what's good for us for all. Which brings us into the fifth habit, which is seeking to understand rather than to be understood. And this is another skill and a habit that will serve you so well. So often we find that I find when I listen to my clients, and my coach has reflected this back to me often, is that I often say I feel misunderstood. And we personalize our suffering. David Wallace Foster did a beautiful commencement speech that I've spoken about before, called "This Is Water," and it's all about learning how to think, seeking to understand rather than to be understood, looking at others and seeking to understand them, to really listen. So often when we are in conversation, we are already like preparing our reply. Pause. Habit number one. Listen. And what can really help you with this skill is debating. And I think debating is is such a beautiful skill, when you have to debate and argue for the opposite of what you believe. And so when we're seeking to understand, that's also where new learning comes in, because we might think that our paradigm and our thoughts and our beliefs are the only true ones. But when we really listen to where another person is coming from, we can learn. And we can then still say, okay, I hear you, I understand you, but this is still where I come from. And if somebody feels heard and you feel heard, it's again going back to the win-win. And what I find quite interesting is that the first um, three habits really deal with dependence, our dependence kind of, where we depend so much on life. And we then move from that dependence into interdependence, where we start to think win-win, we seek to understand, and then we synergize. And synergize is really that you cannot go it alone. And so often I believed many years that I could learn to moderate, and I just needed to get a handle on my drinking. And I was so ashamed, and I thought I had to do it the best. And if I didn't do it by myself, uh, just think about yourself, even in a work environment or in your family. How often do you really synergize and bring in everybody's strengths rather than just depending on your own? I really learned that synergizing with my World Without Wine tribe has been the most precious gift that I have received, and keeping on to create that habit of synergizing, of hearing each other, of being there for each other, of and people come, even on our tribe, everybody has their own unique gift of how they think. And they're bringing that to the table, and we all learn and we synergize. And the last habit is really the one of sharpening the saw. This is where your personal legacy comes in play. And it's all about preserving and enhancing the greatest asset, which is you. And I love the story of the two woodcutters. You were having a competition as to who could cut down, who could saw down a tree the fastest. And the one woodcutter kept disappearing. He would saw and then he'd disappear, and he'd saw and then he'd disappear. And the other guy was kind of looking at this and thinking, oh, I'm just going to go for it. And he just went hell for leather. And he was like way ahead of this guy that kept stopping and going and stopped coming back. And eventually the guy that was not taking the breaks was exhausted. And slowly but surely, the other guy still stopping every now and then. What was he stopping to do? He wasn't just stopping to take a break. Every time he stopped, he paused, he sharpened his saw. And how are you sharpening your soul? How are you taking care of your legacy, the whole of you? And what is your whole of you? It consists of our body, our mind, our heart, and our spiritual aspects. So if we just start with the body, how are you sharpening the saw? Are you taking care of exercise? Are you eating healthy? Are you getting enough rest? Are you relaxing? Are you really taking care of this beautiful body? And taking care of this beautiful body is listening to this body, letting our bodies be our guide. We do a lot of mind work, and in coaching specifically, we do concentrate a lot of cleaning out the mind and the thoughts. But our body knows. And when we can really engage with the body, and we can really feel into our body and lean into our body tells us what is really going on. Often when I'm exhausted and I'm depleted, I feel it in my body, but I try and override it. So lean into your body, lean into where it's achy, breathe into it. One of the best practices that you can bring into your life is breath work. Breath work is the energizer and the healer of the body. It's your natural elixir in life. There's some beautiful breathwork practitioner. Somebody that I'm really enjoying lately is a girl called Samantha Skelly. She does bliss breathwork. She does holotrophic bliss work. I start my morning body scanning and getting into breathwork. Sometimes it's Wim Hof and it's Samantha Skelly. Sometimes it's one or the other. Take care of your body. And then, of course, there is our mind. And our mind is where we live. Our mind is our construct. Our mind is where our thought and our thoughts are so important. More and more they are proving and showing how our thoughts can create illnesses. Our thoughts create the mood. Our thought is where we construct our emotions. Now, feelings are sensations. So our body has sensations, but our thoughts construct emotions out of those sensations. So it's important to notice which thoughts are really creating a sense of anxiety. There's a beautiful, I love Joe Dispenza's work on breaking the habit of being yourself, how your thoughts create your biology. Really important work to delve into when you are looking to do thought work and clearing the mind. So educate yourself, read, write, and learn new skills. Every year, challenge your mind to do something that you never thought is possible. In the beginning, it was very much for me one of the things I had to really challenge was to ditch the drink. It was in my mind. My mind kept telling me I can't. My mind kept telling me you need the energy, you need to relax. Those are all just thoughts. And if we can catch those are the thoughts that are creating the urges, that are overriding, that are engaging the limbic system, where we can't really tap here into our prefrontal cortex. Strengthen here. Engage with your prefrontal cortex. Become mindful. Do mindful practices. And then the third part of ourselves that we need to really sharpen is our heart space. So I was mentioning that in Nia this week we did a lot of, and Nia is the dance that I do, it's the body work that I do. We danced our courage, and the theme was really around that it takes courage to live in this world. It takes courage to love in this world. And it takes courage to feel in this world. So let's open the heart. Let's engage with our heart space. Let's build beautiful relationships. Let's build beautiful connections, intimate connections. The first intimate connection is with your heart, with yourself, and then you build intimate connections. And if intimacy is something that is missing, that you are feeling is not, that you're not really having in your life, that's where you coach around. That's where you start learning and reading about how do I create intimacy, true intimacy with myself and with others. And really the heart space is about, we all have our gifts and we give from. It's really, it's the way we smile. It's the way we open to other people. It's the way we engage. Um, so often we think I'm just an introvert. That's not me. It's a habit. Opening the heart space, doing the gratitude practices. And then the fourth one is our spiritual selves, where we connect with the best part of ourselves. Maybe it's with nature that we see it, it's God, it's through prayer, meditation. For me, spiritually, it's about really creating a sense of wonder and awe of how things are all interconnected, and being able to move through my day, no matter what happens or what life throws at me, with a sense of awe and wonder. When I have awe and wonder that I engage with each person, it makes each interaction really special. We are spiritual beings. We are not just this mind and this body and the physical. We are spiritual beings, and we are energy beings. So our spirituality, and when we really engage on our spiritual path, we engage with the energy from which we vibrate, our magnetism and our empathy. So meditate, and be very, and pray. If it's prayer, get quiet, drop into wonder and awe, and really watch out for media, too much media that's negative, or I even say watching programs that are that give me anxiety, and that I just don't want to, images I don't want to really create in my brain. I just stay away from that, and I try and draw with me to my life the beauty and the wonder of it all. And I practice the gratitude. Practice your gratitude. Operate from a space of gratitude. And that's really are the 7 habits. So it starts with first the pause, and it ends with sharpening the mind, and sharpening the whole being, sharpening the soul, your personal legacy. Your journey of ditching the drink and creating these habits along the way will really, I believe, truly believe, this is how you create a life that you want to live in, a life that you are excited about, no matter what's happening out there in the world, no matter what life throws at you. If you have these habits in place, you will never want to escape your life. You'll be happy, you'll be healthy, you'll be vibrant, and you'll be courageous and brave. So thank you. Let me see. Yeah, lovely to see you here, Jane and Julia and Jess. Yes, Jess, the word prefer rather than I don't. And another beautiful word is I choose. Yeah. And it's exactly what Janet's saying to you, Jess. It sounds like you're empowered to make a choice rather than a bit grumpy. Our tribe is so awesome. And when we're also thinking about sharpening the saw, and part of the spiritual journey is about giving back. And what a beautiful vehicle we have at the moment to give back by becoming part of the initiative, the Dry December and January, where we can sponsor a child to do yoga. And we are going to not only ditch the drink and or give our bodies a break, but we can start creating that beautiful habit of generosity and gratitude and pay it forward. Yeah. Thank you, my beautiful, beautiful tribe. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for engaging. Um, thank you for the support. I couldn't be on my journey without you all. And today I want to just appreciate each and everyone in this tribe. And more than, and I mean, one person I really, really just love beyond measure is Janet. Janet to me embodies these habits and has encouraged me and has allowed me to just express and has always just lifted me. So, all of you, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful week. And I'll see you at the Zoom Cafe, or I'll see you next in 2 weeks' time. Bye.